Today we're going to be looking at how to choose a paddle for the coast to coast race as a multi-sport paddler. So the first thing you want to be looking at with your paddle selection is, does it come in one or two pieces? So is it split in half or is it full length? Now this is what we call a two-piece split paddle. It's got this adjustment here and you're going to put, it comes in two ends. So when you buy it, you have not just one of these, you have two, and they stick together in the middle. I've got it in half for this video so I don't knock out my lights and computer screen. The advantage with two-piece split paddles is that it allows you to adjust on the fly, so while you're paddling you can make it longer or change the offset. This is really good for your first paddle because it means that you can just buy a split paddle with about 10 centimeters of length adjustment, and then you can play around with it as you're learning and figure out what works for you. So a two-piece paddle, something I definitely recommend, and I always go for a two-piece if I can. Now some of you are left-handed paddlers out there. If you haven't started kayaking yet, then you could just try and use a right-handed paddle, and that is going to make life easier down the track. However, if you're like super left-handed, then you probably want to try a left-handed paddle and see if that feels more natural to you. The advantage with the two-piece paddles is that you can just adjust it and change the offset all the way around so it's left-handed, and try that. Next we want to look at the shaft material. So this part is the shaft, and you can see on all these paddles that I've got here today, they're all using some sort of mixture of carbon fiber, which is the black material, and fiberglass, which is like the clear material that's woven into it. Now the fiberglass is going to be more flexible, the carbon fiber is going to be stiffer, so a mixture of the two is actually really good. If you go full carbon, like 100% carbon, that's going to be really stiff and it could be a bit jarring, and if it's all fiberglass, that's fine as well, but it's going to be a little bit heavier, so a mixture of about 50% carbon and about 50% glass, or somewhere around there is about right for long distance racing on the river. Okay, now it's getting more technical. We need to talk about blade shape for a minute. This one here is a flat bladed paddle, and this is traditionally a sea kayak paddle. Now when you do your grade 2 course in a whitewater kayak, you're going to have a blade very similar to this. If you don't have much time before now in coast to coast and you just want the easiest possible paddle to use in rough water, then you could select a flat blade like this. This is a sea kayak paddle. It's called the Palm Drift Pro, I believe. The other advantage is that they're generally cheaper. Now the other blade shape, which is far more popular for coast to coast, is going to be the wing blade. Now the wing blade has got this scoop in the blade shape, and what that does is it's going to create some lift if you use it correctly. So once you've learned the correct forward stroke technique with a wing blade, what this does is when you place the blade in the water and you move the paddle out away from the boat, this shape is going to cut through the water in this direction. It's going to create some lift because of the pressure difference, and some science happens, and then you go faster for free. So you definitely want to be thinking about a wing blade, especially if you've got a couple of months before coast to coast, time to practice with it. And if you get your technique down, you're going to go a lot faster with a wing blade. Let's look at wing blades because that's probably what you want. All of these in front of me are wing blades. There are two types of wing blades that you're going to see around. The most popular at the moment is going to be this teardrop shape. This is the teardrop shape here. It starts off narrow, kind of goes wider, and then narrow again at the top edge. The other type is called a parallel, and as you can see here, there are two edges of the blade which kind of run parallel or almost parallel through the center of the paddle. The advantage with the parallel blade is you don't need your technique to be as good to have the paddle feel kind of normal in the water. So if you are a beginner, this can be quite helpful. However, there aren't many parallel blades which are the right size. The next thing you want to think about is, what material is the blade made out of? This one is different to all the others here. This one is a plastic blade. It's got a bit of reinforcing on the inside, which you can't see, but the plastic is going to flex quite a bit. So you're going to do a lot of training for coast to coast all that energy that you put into the blade, not all of that is going to go into the water and help you go forward. Some of that energy is going to be lost in blade flex. The other disadvantage with plastic is it's quite a bit heavier. It's quite a lot heavier in swing weight. So down the end of the paddle, it's going to be heavier. So each time you swing your blade around, you're really going to feel that weight. Plastic, don't do it. You want to be looking at carbon. Carbon fiber blade is going to be much stiffer. All of these blades here are carbon fiber, which is this black material. Now it's a lot lighter as well, so your swing weight is going to be a lot less, and that's going to improve your efficiency over those hours of racing down the river. The carbon fiber is going to be quite a bit more expensive, but it's totally worth it, I think. Okay, so we've narrowed it down a little bit now. We're looking for a wing blade that is made out of carbon fiber with a mixture of fiberglass and carbon fiber in the shaft, and all of these paddles do that. Now, if you're doing a long distance race like the coast to coast, you're going to want probably the smallest blade size that you can be efficient with. Now, if you're sprinting, you would want a big blade so that you can get a lot of drive through the water and go really fast, really quickly. However, you're not going to be able to maintain that sort of power through like 5 hours on the water. You need to be looking for a much smaller blade size. So now I've got 4 paddles in front of me. They're all in the correct blade material and size, and we've got 2 different brands we're looking at here. One is Gara paddles, which is a South African brand that I've been importing through Canterbury Kayaking. They've been awesome. That's what I use at the moment. The other brand is Flow Kayaks, which is a local Christchurch company, and they make blades here in Christchurch, New Zealand. There's a third brand that was around a couple of years ago called Legend paddles, and I would have liked to have some Legend paddles here, but we haven't seen those on the market for a couple of seasons now, so I don't know what's happening with those, but they might be something to look at if you're watching this video in a year or 2 from today. Okay, now blade size is really important. Basically, the stronger you are, the bigger blade you're going to be able to handle. Think about being on a bike, and it's like being in a different gear depending on what your blade size is. You're really going to want a small blade if you're smaller built, or if you're not as fit, or you're just starting out in your kayaking fitness. If you're much stronger built and you already have some upper body fitness, then you could get away with the small to medium size blade, but definitely not those larger size blades for coast to coast. What different blade sizes do we have to choose from? From Flow paddles, this is the MS1. It's probably the smallest blade size I've seen in the coast to coast. It measures 457 by 151 millimeters across. That is going to be perfect for the smallest of athletes, or if you are just like not as fit or as strong as you might one day become. Moving up in blade size, we have the Gara Odin Extra Small. Okay, and this one's just slightly bigger than the MS1. It's going to be 472 millimeters by 159 millimeters across. This is like what I'd recommend for most people, kind of the perfect size if you're just getting started. Going up slightly in size, we have the MS2 from Flow, and this is the perfect size for somebody who is a little bit stronger, perhaps on your second season of multisport paddling, even up to the elite level. Richard Usher helped design this paddle with Andrew Martin, and it's what he used to win the coast to coast multiple times with very fast river times. It measures 477 in length by 157 across. At about the same size as the MS2, we've got the Gara Odin Small, and this one measures 478 in length by 166 across. And again, this one is going to be for your slightly stronger built paddler, or if you've got ambitions of going fast in the longest day race, you're not going to want to get anything bigger than this. So you can see we've basically got 2 blade sizes which might work for you. This very smallest blade size, which is like the Flow MS1 or the Gara Odin Extra Small, or we could step it up a little bit and go to the Flow MS2 or the Odin Small. And there are bigger blades again if you're doing shorter distance races. I think Flow make a MS3 and Gara goes to an Odin Medium, and they also go to Odin Large, but you probably don't need to mess with that unless you're actually doing like K1 or surf ski or sprinting in a much shorter race. Okay, so now we know what we need to have the paddle made of, we know the right shape, we know the right size we need. Now the last decision is, do you go with metal tips on your blades or without? So what the metal tips are is in between the layers of carbon, we've got this small strip of metal laid into the end of the blade, and what that does is provide some extra abrasion protection so that when you're in the shallow river of the Waimak, and that would be like the top braids and the bottom braids. In the gorge itself, you don't have to worry quite as much, but definitely in those braided sections, you're going to be scraping the edge of your blade on the bottom of the river a little bit. Having the metal tip helps the blade deal with that constant impact if you're hitting the bottom a lot. Now, having the metal tips does actually have a downside, and what that downside is making the blade quite a bit heavier. If we look at the Flow MS1 here, the whole paddle in a two-piece is about 725 grams, and that's light, but it's not as light as the Gara Odin Extra Small, and this one is only 630 grams for the whole paddle. Where we're saving all that weight is in the blade, and because that weight is saved in the blade, the swing weight is like significantly lighter. It's like incredible, the difference. Now without the metal tip, what you're going to experience with something like this Gara here is that when you hit the tip of the paddle on the riverbed, you might just start to wear away the tip of the blade. It may even chip a little bit. However, it's nothing to panic about. What's just going to happen is over time, your blade's just going to reduce in size. It's going to take quite a long time to really change the shape of the blade, but you are going to see that happening. It's going to just kind of fray the edge of the blade a little bit. So you need to decide whether having the metal tips is really worth it to you, or whether you would prefer to have the lighter swing weight. For me, I've paddled with the Flows for a couple of years and I was super happy with them until honestly I tried the Gara and how much lighter that swing weight is. I would prefer to have a little bit less paddle blade life, but improve the life of my shoulders and joints. I just love that lighter swing weight, and I just am a little bit more cautious when I head down the river with the Odin blades, that I'm not smashing the bottom of the river as hard. And to me, over that whole course of a day, and because I do multiple days in a row, it just makes the whole experience so much better. Technically, it's also going to help you go a lot faster. The last thing that's worth mentioning is looking after the paddle. If you can get your paddle into a padded paddle bag like this, then that's going to help the paddle last much longer. All the Gara paddles come with this padded travel bag included, and most of the others don't, so you might have to add the price of a bag onto your total cost of the paddle if they don't come with one already. So hopefully now you understand your options for the coast to coast race and which paddle you might want to use for that. Really the main decision you're going to make is how small a blade size you're going to go. You're going to go extra small or you're going to go small, and whether you are going to try and find a blade with metal tips, or whether you're going to go for the ultralight blade with just the glass reinforced tips. If you've got questions about any of the things that I've mentioned in this video, please put those in the comments. Definitely like and subscribe, and enjoy your time on the water.